Did you know that infants are ready to learn sign language? 2-year-olds are ready to learn the basics of science, and 3-year-olds are ready to learn coding? Your child is ready to learn, and at Primrose Schools, teachers make the most of this time by creating a joyful, purposeful learning experience unlike any other.
For instance, have you heard of the Primrose Friends? In every Primrose school classroom, teachers use these 12 lovable puppets to make character development joyful, meaningful, and memorable. From exploring generosity with Benjamin the Bear to practicing honesty with Peanut the Pony, every friend plays a special part in helping children learn important values while having plenty of fun along the way. We could all use some friends like that. You can learn more at primroseschools.com. Now enrolling infants through children age 5. That's primroseschools.com for more information. Elizabeth, you know I love this time of year, but one thing I do not love is how short the days are. I feel like I'm always trying to cram so many things into a limited number of daylight hours. But one thing that's helping me really stay on top of my routine during this busy time is the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus. Powered by Peloton IQ, the Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus is Peloton's most elevated equipment yet. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and achieve peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, sculpt, push, and go while Peloton handles the rest.
Peloton IQ creates a personal workout roadmap with weekly recommended classes led by instructors who match your mood, vibe, and personality. Go on a 45-minute run on the Tread Plus or do a 5-minute stretch routine off of it with just one smooth spin of the swivel screen. It offers endless ways to train for a well-rounded routine no matter how busy you are. This is cross-training reimagined. Let yourself run, lift, sculpt, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Lemonada.
Hello, we're here for a bonus episode of the Happier Podcast, a podcast where we get happier. This week, Jamie and I have our daughter Eleanor home from college for the holidays, and that got me thinking again about what I call the open door phase. That is my rebranding of the empty nest. We're 2 years into it now, and every time Eleanor is home, I notice something new about this stage of life. I was on Kim and Penn Holderness's podcast Laugh Lines to talk about it. You may know them from their hilarious videos about family life. Their daughter just started college, their son's still at home, so they're right in the middle of this season. My favorite part of our conversation was when we got to the question that, honestly, every parent wonders. How much is too much? How many texts, how many calls, how many just checking ins before it's too much? Let us just say that my answer surprised them. Even if you don't have kids, I think you'll relate to this conversation. It's really about staying connected to the people you love without driving them bonkers. Anyway, here's our conversation.
Let's bring in Gretchen. It's so funny. Every time I look down at her name, I'm like, is it Dr. Rubin? I just feel like she should have
she is incredibly impressive.
I know. I feel like
highly
she should
educated.
be a doctor. Like, I've talked to some doctors who are not as doctory.
She's
Gretchen Rubin
a badass.
Gretchen lives in New York City with her family, and we are so happy to have her. Welcome, Gretchen.
I am so happy to be talking to you both today. Thank you for having me.
I've read your books. I've listened to your podcast. I have to say, this morning when I was really, I was feeling my feelings. I'm like, I just need somebody to tell me what to do and how to process this. And I was like, I'm talking to the person who tells you how to do this. So I'm very excited to talk to you.
Very good timing.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited to talk about this stage of life, right? Because it's so new and can be so overwhelming.
Yeah. So you've written about how instead of looking at this as an empty nest, you talk about it as an open door. So you have both of your girls are now out of your apartment, out of your home. So how do you frame it?
So, the thing about the empty nest is I don't think anybody likes it, because it feels very kind of hollowed out and bereft and kind of like you've been abandoned and left behind. And so I like Open Door because it captures this idea of like hospitality, because children will come and go and the two of you can come and go. Like, well, you still have one at home, but you're a little bit more free to come and go. And that it also captures this idea of like the threshold, right? Because like now we're at a new stage of life. And it is also kind of like the manager, it's like, I have an open door policy. Like, I'm here doing my own work. If you need to come by and have my attention, like I'm here for you, but I'm kind of doing my own thing now and I'm letting you do your own thing. So, and I just feel like it has a more kind of a freshness and a sense of possibility, whereas empty nest just feels like very left behind.
What if your open door is farther away than you would like it to be?
Meaning your child far away?
We're a flight away instead of a drive.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, so am I. Well, I mean, I think part of what we have to do is adjust our expectations for like what that's going to look like. I think that's a really good thing for parents and children to talk about, because often parents and children have very different ideas of what to expect. Like, I know that often spring break is a time where many kids are like, oh, I'm going off with my new friends. And the parents are like, wait, you're supposed to come home for every possible vacation. So part of it is kind of starting to adjust to new expectations of like, when are they crossing the threshold?
What I love about your work, you talk a lot about habits.
Yes,
and happiness. So, and how habits can directly impact your level of happiness. So how did that work really prepare you to launch your girls into the world?
Well, part of it is that I just, I always go deeper and deeper into my healthy habits when I'm under stress. So I'm really careful to get enough sleep. I'm really careful to exercise. I'm really careful to connect with my friends and my extended family and my husband. One of the things that I do when I'm very stressed out is I will start to reread books from childhood. And the more stressed out I am, the further back in childhood I go.
Oh, wow.
Like, am I reading Anne of Green Gables books? Yes, I am, because I'm going very far back into my own childhood for that sense of reassurance and comfort. So I think part of it is knowing what comforts you and drawing on that, and then not doing things that distract you. I know, Kim, you talked about like reaching for things in a previous discussion. You were talking about like eating more or like drinking more or kind of numbing out.
Yeah.
So I think paying attention to our habits, not accidentally falling into habits, because sometimes we do something to try to make ourselves feel better that in the end just makes us feel worse. So we really want to say like, oh, going for a long walk is going to make me feel better. Sitting down and doom scrolling is going to make me feel worse. Let me make a choice based on that.
Yeah, you're really self-aware about that. I will give you credit for that. Like when you, when you're really bummed out and you do decide that you're going to reach for like a glass of wine and some cake, you actually say, airport rules.
Okay.
Which is very funny.
Okay.
No, in my book, Better Than Before, where I talk about habits, I talk about the loopholes. There are 10 categories of loopholes. And that's the this doesn't count loophole, which is it's an airport. This doesn't count. We're not even in an airport. No, we still have airport
rules.
We're
acting like it's 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And we just bellied up to the bar for like cake and a glass of wine. Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Yes. In our family, we call it airport rules. And Gretchen, teach me your ways, because the week before drop off, the week after drop off, I was like, yes, I'm going to try to go for the walk, and I'm going to try to read my book instead of doom scrolling. And because I love to read, and that's a comfort for me. But for whatever reason, I couldn't concentrate on the words on the page. I couldn't. I would go for a walk, but I would be so in my head. So the only thing that felt comfortable, and I'm ashamed to admit this, was a piece of cake, a glass of wine, and my thumbs hurt. I was doom scrolling so much. So how do I train myself? And I woke up feeling like crap. I didn't feel good about myself. I felt even worse and more sad the next day. So like, how do I go for the walk? How do I read the book? How do I do these things instead of like, I know they're better for me. Just like I need like a happiness coach. I need somebody to like stand over me and take the fork out of my hand.
Look, I love talking about habits. Let's go deep. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the cake for a second. So was the cake, were you thinking of it more like, was the thought in your mind more like, with everything I'm going through, I deserve this? Or was it more like, given how drained I feel, I need a boost?
Oh, okay. That's a really good clarifying question. I think it was, given everything I've gone through, I deserve this.
Okay. So what I would say is, so you need a treat. And I'm a huge fan of people giving themselves treats when they need a little bit of energy or a lift. But you want to give yourself healthy treats. So part of it is to say, what are some healthy treats that I could give to myself? Like, do you love getting something that feels indulgent? Like not something that, not like, oh, a great cup of coffee that you could have every day, but like a 90-minute massage or a sound bath, or like, is there something, are there treats you can think of where you're like, that could be a healthy treat for me that I could reach for when I'm starting to say to myself, I need it, I deserve it. Given everything I'm going through, I get to have this.
Yeah.
Because you need a treat, and that's fine, but maybe there are other treats that you could find. I don't know. Penn, can you think of treats that, like, what would be a good treat for her?
I think she likes massages if they're firm enough.
I like a good elbow in the shoulder.
Okay, there you go.
If they
All
try
right.
to hit her with a Swedish massage, she's like, this is not working for me.
Okay, right. Okay.
I do think, like, for her, this has been interesting because one treat that she really likes is having a really good friend and going for like a 2-hour walk. She always comes back from that feeling better. But there was actually a period, Gretchen, last week where she didn't even feel comfortable walking with another person because she was feeling so much from that drop off. Am I putting words in your mouth here?
No, that's right. That's right.
I don't know if many of her, like a ton of her treats involve like hanging out with me because she does that a lot.
Sure.
You know,
I think you're onto something though, Gretchen, like more experiences rather than, there's like a dance class I found.
Yeah, you've been doing that. That's been good.
Well, because one of the things is massage can lead to rumination. So if you're like up in your head, a massage is maybe not great because then you're just lying there having your thoughts. So maybe something like a dance class where like part of what is relaxing about it is you'll just get out of your head because you'll have to be thinking about what you're doing and you'll get caught up in it, but you don't have to talk to somebody. If you're feeling like it's too much to be talking, then I just get overwhelmed with my emotions. Something that gets you out of your head.
Yeah.
So not like going for a walk, but like going rock climbing. Not that I go rock climbing, but like people say about, you just have to focus on what you're doing so much that it gives you a respite from yourself.
She's definitely an experiential person. I think like we'll go on vacations and there'll be a massage or there'll be a 3-hour hike and she's going to take the hike just about every single time, I think.
Okay. So maybe it's looking for that. Maybe you do like an immersive like art exhibit or like something where it'll take a lot of your attention and feel like exciting and relaxing, but you don't have to talk to somebody and you're not going to get caught up in your own thoughts.
I love this because obviously I've been upset about other things than just like dropping my kid off at college, but my coping throughout my life, my coping strategies have left me, I think, a little worse than the actual event or whatever, the hard talk with a family member or whatever it was. My coping strategies have always been cake or wine or doom scrolling. And so And
the fact is, like, there's nothing wrong with those if they don't make you feel worse. Because for some people, it's like, look, I just want to have like my little biscotti and that's going to make me feel like that's the treat that I want. And it reminds me of my childhood and it makes me feel great. But they don't look back on it with regret, right? It's the question is, does it in the end just make you feel worse? Because you don't want to like trying to dig yourself out of the hole, just like dig yourself in deeper.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I'll report to you from my dance class. Okay. You encourage people. I think the beautiful thing about your work is to kind of add in the rituals into existing structures and traditions. So like, what sort of new rituals, as you have your open door now, what sort of rituals can you, even like a parent sending their kid off to kindergarten, like all these life transitions, can parents really start to incorporate?
I am a huge fan of new traditions. Okay, oxymoron, but they have to start sometime. And like marking these transitions can be really great. But I also think that something that happens, at least it happened in our family, is that a lot of traditions kind of didn't work anymore. And that adds to the poignancy of this kind of the changing season of life, which is sort of realizing like, wow, like we have a Halloween gallery where it's all the pictures of all my daughters and their Halloween costumes over the year. And I get it out every Halloween and it's super fun. But I'm like, and now that gallery is closed.
I mean,
like
college Halloween. College Halloween's a lot of fun. You don't
yeah,
need to go
it's a
home.
lot of fun, but she's not sending me photos of that.
Right, exactly.
To add.
Exactly.
And so it's like, that's over. So the thing is to have new traditions. So like one thing that I decided with our family was like, we never really did much for 4th of July. And I'm like, this is a really good holiday for like older kids, because it's like if you're working or you're at school, it's like easy to get that time off. We'd kind of never done anything with it. So like, I'm like, let's make it big. So that's kind of one of my things, is to make 4th of July bigger. We did a thing because my older daughter is in grad school. So both my daughters were going to school. I said, kind of for trying to capture that back to school, you know how you go clothes shopping, you like buy the little sneakers and everything. So I was like, okay, I'll buy you a pair. This is for daughters, my daughters. I said, I'll buy you a pair of signature shoes. We're going to go to a department store and you can each pick out a pair of signature shoes to start the school year. And we did that last year. And then we did, and I'm like, okay, we have to pick our time to shop for signature shoes. And it was kind of tapping into that familiar feeling of back to school shopping. And then a thing that I want to name, so help me workshop this, right? Because I still haven't come up with a good name, is, okay, so there's, a lot of times what people will tell people about the empty nest is, especially if it's like really you're truly the empty nest and there's no more child at home, plan a trip right away. Go on a trip right away, like from drop off, or like maybe you drop off your kid, you come home and then you just immediately turn around and leave. And this gives you something to look forward to. It gives you a distraction. It makes time feel rich. It just, there's a lot of reasons that this is sort of something that works for a lot of people to help kind of create a buffer in that new zone. You're not just like staring at their empty bed and their empty place at the kitchen. You know, you have a break. So what is the name of that? Like, we have the baby moon, we have the push present, we have Galentine's Day. Like, what is the name for that trip?
The crying cruise.
No, but
okay, well, I feel like that's a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
No, sorry, it's something with buffer in it.
Holiday.
Buffer.
Holiday.
Yeah. Buffer.
Buffer. What's like a portmanteau we can use with you?
Yeah. Exactly. I like the way you're thinking about this. Yeah.
Because but it's also like as much as it's a buffer, it's like a soft place to land. It's like a
buffercation.
A buffercation.
It's like a bifurcation, but it's a buffercation.
Oh, a buffercation.
We're getting
I
there.
like that.
A buffercation.
Because I love a staycation.
Yep.
Oh, I love a staycation.
Buffercation.
It's better than crying cruise.
The cry cruise. Can you imagine you're just sending all the empty nest parents and you're putting them in one place and it's just like a lot of sobbing? No, I have to say I am in the phase, and perhaps you are through it already. I hope you are, where I'm checking for updates all the time.
Yeah.
She's been very communicative. She always is. And I'm getting updates, but I want to know like everything. I want to know like what was this class and how many people are in it and what was your favorite and all this stuff. So what's appropriate? What's an appropriate goal to shoot for in terms of asking for updates? Like what's the boundary? I don't want to cross it and make her uncomfortable, but I want to know everything.
I mean, I think once a week is plenty, really.
Oh,
that was a dagger over here. I just got to tell you, so we have a very communicative daughter who I think it's going to probably taper off, but like we've been getting 8 or 9 a day texts.
That's fine. That's fine from her.
Okay.
From her.
That's fine from her.
Okay.
That's fine from her. The question is like, what can you say is the minimum?
Okay.
I think if you have a communicative child, that's wonderful. But even that child, like, it's very burdensome to put like experiences into words. And sometimes like one thing you definitely don't want to do is interview for pain, which is when you ask like, okay, are you still fighting with your roommate all the time? Or like, oh, is the food still bad? Or like, how's that working out? Like with all those girls sharing one bathroom, right? Because you're asking for negative information. So it's good to keep it open-ended. But I think it can be hard to have to explain. And it just, I mean, we've all had that where it's like, it's very hard to put into words an overwhelming experience. And something I would say too is like sometimes parents will say, well, they're really happy, so that's great, right? I'm so happy that I'm sad, but they're so happy. They're having so much fun. But even that, I think, is a lot of pressure for a child to feel like, oh, well, I have to be happy because my parents are counting on me to be happy. So what if I'm not happy? What if I feel lonely? What if I feel left out? What if I feel like I made a mistake and I'm here? Like, I think that expecting our children to give us like reassurance a lot of time, and I don't know about you, but I think sometimes it's that a parent wants reassurance. Even something like you're safe. I know you're safe because I'm texting with you all the time, so I know you're safe. Even if it's like, well, yeah, they're safe. Or they're happy. Like, I need to hear from you all the time. Yeah. Oh, you're meeting great kids. Oh, you have a great professor. Oh, the campus is really pretty. That's so great. And it's like, but what if it's not? What if it's not? Yeah. And they have to be able to experience that. And I think we always say, like, parents always say, like, you're only as happy as your least happy child. Yeah. But I think for some children, I'm only as happy as my least happy parent. Oof. And managing the happiness of a parent is very, very hard. And I don't think that most parents want our children to feel that responsibility. Yeah. And I think there's a paradox that I'm like constantly thinking about is, on the one hand, I want to say to my daughters, you are the most important thing in the world to me. Your happiness is essential to me. Mm-hmm. And I also want to say to them, you are not the most important thing. You are not the center of my world. I have my own happiness. You don't have to be happy for me. Both things are true. And it's hard sometimes to keep that tension in our minds.
I can't pretend to experience the amount of empathy and connection that my wife has with her daughter as someone who birthed her and is of her gender and has helped her through a lot of like women's issues and has been like really there for her in every single step of the way. They've had a very active relationship. So, and I think that she'll do the work to try to do all these things you just said. While we're on the topic, just like a specialized case, a lot of your friends, including you, are, they are sort of like making sure, even like looking at where they are, that they're home every night. Sure. And that occurs way after we're asleep. So it's led to some sleepless nights for a lot of these moms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure. Find my and
yeah. So like the tracking, I think, personally, I think it's just because it's so new. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that even for me, because I was like, oh, she's so responsible. Of course she's getting to her class on time. But I'd be like, okay, has she left? Is she going to get coffee? Like the first couple days I was like,
it's fun. It's fun to follow.
Yeah. It's fun to follow along, but I have not let her know. So she doesn't listen to our podcast. So we're fine. Okay.
But that's okay.
Well, if you thought your daughter wouldn't like it if she knew, that's maybe tells you something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, like the first week or so, fine. But then I think you have to start saying like, okay, I need to let them have an independent experience. And I need to turn to myself. I need to think about my own experience. We should think as much about our own experiences as we're thinking about their experiences.
There it is.
Like you're doing your dorm room. What about your house? You're thinking about like what classes they're taking. What class are you taking? Like you're worrying about what time they're going to bed. Like you go out and go to a party,
Yeah. And so we have worked really hard, but I still think we fell into the trap. Parenthood becomes a lot of people's primary identity.
Oh, 100%. Yes. I'm so glad you mentioned this.
Yes. And so we had those conversations. Like we wanted, we have each other, we have work we love, we have all these other things. I always try to get hobbies, but still, and yet it is such a huge part of your life you can't ignore. Sure. So like, how do people reinvent this at this point in life,
I think this is one of the greatest challenges that people have. And it's true that even if you have a flourishing career and tons of friends and lots of hobbies, it is still for people their most important identity. And it's, people will often say things like, I feel like I'm being fired from the best job I ever had, or like, I don't know who I am anymore. And so I think it is something really important to think about. Like, one of the things to think about is, are there identities from the past that you've let go of because of parenthood or for one reason or another that you could now reclaim, like I'm a fly fisherman, or I'm a cellist, or I'm fluent in French, or whatever it is, or there are identities that you can go deeper into, like things that you're doing now, but that you could take to a different level. Like, I've always been an amateur bird watcher, but now I'm like going to take it really seriously, and I'm going to get a great set of binoculars, and I'm going to start traveling to like look at birds, and I'm going to keep my journal and do I don't even know what bird watchers do, all the things that they do.
That sounds like that's what they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like make it into a thing and make it a way to have adventures and meet new people and learn new skills, and or sometimes we have to like find a new identity. And that's harder, where you're like trying to figure out, well, what would that new identity be? What is it that you want? And so you can ask yourself questions like, what would my ideal day look like? Or 5 years from now, what would my fantasy life look like? Not my fantasy life, but like my ideal life look like? What might it include? What things have I always wanted to explore, but I never really had time for? Now is the time to begin to pursue those with this new time and energy.
If someone wanted to start their own happiness project, first of all, if you can explain
what that is.
The happiness project, but if somebody wanted to start one, what advice do you have to give? But first, start by explaining the happiness project.
So when I did my happiness project, I decided like I would spend a year working on my happiness, and I divided the year into 12 categories, and that I thought would make me happier. Things like work and energy and family and marriage. And then for in each category, I gave myself a handful of concrete, manageable resolutions that would help me do a better job in that area of my life to see if it would make me happier. And spoiler alert, yes, it did make me happier. And I've been studying happiness ever since, because it was so exciting, like to try all these things and see that they did make me happier. And I think, like, if I were going to say to somebody else, I would say, pick a few things that you think like this could really move the needle for me, and think of 3 or 4 resolutions, practical, manageable things that you could do as part of your ordinary life, things that don't take a lot of extra time, energy, or money, which most people don't have a lot of extra time, energy, or money. And try to incorporate them into your life. So, and if I had to choose like 2 areas to suggest, I would suggest these 2. First is your own body, which goes to energy. Everything is easier when we have energy. And our physical experience will always color our emotional experience. This is why something like staying up late to monitor your kids can be really bad, because if you're not getting enough sleep, that's going to make the rest of your life, you're just going to feel so much more emotional. You're going to feel so much more volatile. You're going to feel drained and overwhelmed so much more easily, just because you're not getting enough sleep, and sleep is so important. So anything related to exercise, sleep, making sure that you're like eating, you're not letting yourself get too hungry. You're not eating a ton of junk food that makes you feel lousy, like really focusing on your body, and even like your physical surroundings. Like for a lot of people, creating outer order creates inner calm. And when my daughter left, I went on this huge clutter clearing thing at our apartment, because it just made me feel better to like get everything organized. It was a way that I just dealt with my feelings. Not her room though. I was under like very strict. She knew that about me. So she was like, do not touch anything in my room. You cannot clutter clear in my room. So one is your own body. And then the other is relationships. And this is just, ancient philosophers and contemporary scientists agree that the most important thing for our happiness is strong relationships. So something like you mentioned, like some open door parents coming together once a month, that is a great idea, because it's a group. So it's a lot of people. You're maybe meeting new people or making stronger connections with people that you sort of knew but didn't know before. You can look forward to it because you're meeting regularly. If you miss once a month, you can see them the next month. You can go and have adventures and do new things together. So maybe you're now like, oh, well, we used to have monthly dinner parties when we were first married, but we haven't done that in years. Now we're going to get back to it. Or My husband and I, like, he really likes to eat at a bar. And I really like to eat early. And so there's this new restaurant in our neighborhood, and it's like we go and eat at the bar, which I love because I'm eating early and it's fun. And he likes because he likes the festivity of eating at a bar. And it's sort of a new kind of way for us to connect as a couple that is new to us.
Yeah.
And so it feels like a new addition to our relationship. So things related to your body and things related to relationships.
I love that.
I'm glad you brought up your husband. I also love eating at a bar, and you love eating early.
Yeah,
this might actually work
festive.
out well.
Yes.
Yeah. Why is it festive? Why is it festive to eat at a bar? I do not know.
Because you can, to me, the bartender's right there. It feels like a special occasion. It feels like special treatment almost because they're like right next to you. And also it reminds me festively of like Christmas and Thanksgiving when you just strike up conversations with people you've never seen before.
Yes. So there's a kind of a hospitability to it. Yeah.
And I love that. But another reason I'm glad you brought him up is because, as we're going through this open door phase, we're definitely handling it in two different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I'm sad. I don't think it's as obvious. And I don't think, I think it's more of like a low, deep down feeling that maybe I'm not talking about enough. I don't know. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
You have this great sort of personality test that you ask people to take, about their sort of types. We both took them. I'm wondering,
what are you?
I'm wondering if we told you what we were, that you might be able to give us more insight on the way that we're processing some of these things.
Yes. Absolutely.
More on this after these words.
The holidays are such a joyful time, but let's be honest, they can also be a lot. There's so much to cook, so much to clean, and unfortunately, so much food waste.
We're always thinking about the small things we can do that make an impact, not just for our own happiness, but for the planet too. And that's why I'm such a big fan of my Mill food recycler. Mill is odorless and fully automated, eliminating all the pain points associated with old-fashioned compost pails and smelly garbage cans. It makes keeping food out of the trash as easy as dropping it in. It can be hectic in my home around the holidays, but Mill keeps me keeping my cool when I'm hosting. With all the food prep and guests arriving, I never have to stress about the trash. Plus, it looks super cool and modern in my kitchen.
Add Mill to your wish list or gift one now. Get up to $200 off during their biggest sale of the season, Thursday, November 20th through Monday, December 1st. Miss the sale? You can still get $75 off with code HAPPY. Visit mill.com/happy. That's mill.com/HAPPY. Are you a trailblazer, a risk taker, someone with countless tales of epic adventure? Well, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm working on it. Even the boldest among us started small, daring themselves to reach greater goals each day. If you're looking to take on a challenge like that, the Defender is too. It's a vehicle built for those capable of great things, whether you're charting new territory or just escaping the city for the weekend.
The Defender, engineered to meet challenges head-on so you can explore with confidence. An icon reimagined, designed for a new generation of explorers. Choose from the Defender 90, 110, or 130, seating up to 8 adventurers. With a tough-tested exterior, a modern and functional interior, and intelligent tech like 3D surround cameras and the Pivi Pro infotainment system, every journey feels limitless. Because like you, the Defender is capable of great things. Build your Defender today at LandRoverUSA.com. You're ready for the holidays. The turkey's been going since this morning. The sides are perfectly seasoned. The out-of-towners have a bed, couch, or futon to crash on for the night. All that's left to take care of is your peace of mind. That's why ADT is here.
With their professionally installed home security systems, you get protection that helps you feel safe. When every second counts, count on ADT. Visit ADT.com or call 1-800-ADT-ASAP. When every second counts, count on ADT. This podcast is sponsored by Squarespace. Gretchen, way back when I started my other podcast, Happier in Hollywood, you told me, Elizabeth, start a website. And did I listen to you? Not for a long time. I do not want our listeners to do what I did. Start a website immediately when you have a business or something you're interested in, because it will only help you. And Squarespace is truly the perfect place to do that.
Yeah, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build and grow your online presence. You know, whether you're starting a passion project, you're promoting your comedy or your podcast, or you're turning a side hustle into a business, Squarespace makes it easy to stand out online. And if you offer services or run events, Squarespace lets you book clients, send invoices, and get paid all in one place. Head to squarespace.com/happy for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code HAPPY to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
I am, and Kim nodded her head, yes, you are, when I got it. I am a questioner.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, and I took it a million years ago, so I'm an obliger.
Mm-hmm. Should I briefly describe what this is?
Yes,
okay.
please.
Okay. And anybody who wants to take a quiz, there's a quiz on my site at gretchenrubin.com, and it's free. But usually if I just give a brief description, people know what they are right away.
Sure.
These completely ring true for me. I would have guessed that about both of you. So good. So what this looks at is a very narrow aspect of your personality that ends up being really important, which is how you respond to expectations. And we all face two kinds of expectations: outer expectations like a work deadline, and inner expectations like your own desire to keep a New Year's resolution. And depending on whether you meet or resist outer and inner expectation, that makes you an upholder like me, a questioner like Penn, an obliger like Kim, or a rebel. We don't have one in this conversation. So upholders are people who readily meet outer and inner expectations. They keep the work deadline. They keep the New Year's resolution without much fuss. Their motto is discipline is my freedom. Mm-hmm. Then there are questioners like Penn. Questioners question all expectations. They'll do something if they think it makes sense. So they resist anything irrational, arbitrary, unjustified. They have to know why. So they make everything an inner expectation. If it makes sense, they'll do it. If it doesn't make sense, they won't.
Why is that so annoying to you?
It's not annoying. It is just that, like, oh my God, we have to talk everything out loud.
Yes.
Like, just do it.
Yes.
Anyway.
Questioners often drain and overwhelm others with their questions.
Particularly obligers.
Okay, continue.
I'm married to a questioner, so I know that well. So their motto is, I'll comply if you convince me why. Then there are obligers. And this, by the way, is the biggest tendency. It's the one that the largest number of people, both men and women, belong to. So, Kim, you are in great company. Obligers are people who readily meet outer expectations, but they struggle to meet inner expectations. So these are the folks who say, why is it that I always keep my promises to other people, but I can't keep my promises to myself? And the good news for obligers is that the solution for this is very straightforward, which is you just need to give yourself outer accountability. You have to have outer accountability even to meet an inner expectation. Like if you want to read more, you can join a book group, or if you want to exercise, you can take a class or go with a friend who's annoyed if you don't show up, or think of your duty to be a role model. There's a million ways to create outer accountability once you know that's what you need. Mm-hmm. So their motto is, you can count on me, and I'm counting on you to count on me. And then finally, rebels. This is the smallest tendency. And rebels are people who resist both outer and inner expectations. They want to do what they want to do in their own way, in their own time. They can do anything they want to do, that they choose to do. But if you ask or tell them to do something, they're very likely to resist. And typically they don't tell themselves what to do. Like they don't sign up for a 10 a.m. spin class on Saturday because they think, I don't know what I'm going to want to do on Saturday, and just the fact that it's on my calendar is going to annoy me. So their motto is, you can't make me, and neither can I. So these are the four tendencies, and yeah, you can take the quiz if you don't know. But we can do Game of Thrones characters. We can do The Office. Like these are so obvious when you know what to look for. They're very easy to spot. But I do think that the tendencies have implications for how you might deal with the empty nest.
Okay.
So I think for obligers, this is particularly hard because for obligers, that outer accountability, those outer expectations are so important to the way they go through their life. And so somebody being gone from that role they really feel it. and it may be harder for them to figure out how to replace it. So if as an obliger, you're like, oh, I get up and I organize my weekend around what my kids need, and that comes very effortlessly to me as an obliger because I don't have the same resistance that an upholder, a questioner, a rebel might have to that. Now that it's gone, what organizes my time? They may find it hard to organize their time for themselves because it's an inner expectation. What do I want to do with my day? Yeah. It's like, I don't know what I want to do with my day. And that's not how I live my life. And so for them, that's a much bigger challenge. Whereas for an upholder, a questioner, a rebel, they have different ways of saying, oh, well, what would I do with that time? So I think for obligers, that can be hard. For questioners, I think questioners are often like, well, what does the data show? What does the research show? And they might try to convince themselves, Penn, it doesn't sound like you're doing this, but I think sometimes they're like, well, there's no reason for me to be sad because this is exactly what we wanted. There's absolutely no ground for me to be feeling upset because she's off, she's independent, she's happy. Like, why would I feel that way? Therefore, I do not feel that way. And it's like, but guess what? You do feel that way, you know? Yeah. So I think sometimes questioners can kind of like get up in their heads because they're like, why should I feel that way? It's like, but sometimes you do, even if you kind of like, it might not be rational to feel that way.
Yeah.
And yet you do.
So my research is just looking at my daughter. It's just like empirical, evidence-based, like she looks pretty happy. So, and yes, to that point, like as soon as sadness tries to creep in, I think that I say to myself and even outwardly, like, what am I doing? Like, this is like, look how happy she is. Isn't that the whole point of, look, I'm using it as a question.
But let me just say, what if she weren't happy?
Yeah.
She may not be happy. There may be a time where she is not happy. Right, so then,
so that happened. Like she had like her first, like, not perfect day.
First of many.
Yeah.
Right.
And it definitely broke down that argument. I also, I gotta say, I think that Kim and I, with our couple dynamics, we're going to have to take turns supporting each other. And if one person is really feeling it, I'd feel like the other person can't be feeling it. They have to like wait until they have some time to really feel it.
That is called splitting ambivalence.
Sorry, I guess I'm doing that. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm sure that's
splitting
wrong.
Ambivalence is where one person says, this is over. I can't believe they're gone. I'm so sad. Nothing will be the same. And the other person's like, look on the bright side. This is what we wanted. Now we can be free. Like, look on the bright side. And so instead of like both people having grief and relief and like feeling a mixture of feelings, both kind of polarize themselves. Oh. And that can be bad because then you start acting out a role and you're not allowed to sort of say what might be true for you on the other side. And like to a certain extent, I think it can be healthy if one person's kind of losing it, then one person has, like, sometimes it feels good to be like, well, now I have to step up and be strong, but you don't want to get stuck in those roles because then you might end up like not admitting to yourself or to the other person that you often also have feelings of freedom and excitement or grief and sorrow and loss.
Mm-hmm. And this is all tracking. Gretchen, get out of our house. I will say, it was interesting because yesterday, at the time of this recording, yesterday was Sunday, and usually Sunday is a kind of a not very organized, but always ends up being a family day. You know, just like she's around usually. It's
the loss of tradition that we're dealing having this trouble with.
Well, he's very good about. He played tennis. He played pickleball. But usually my Sundays are around like, okay, who needs to, let's go get this. Let's do this. Let's set up for our week. Let's make dinner. So my Sundays are usually around my family, my kids happily. And so when she was gone, I was like, whoa, what do I do now? So I do need to bring some structure that's about me, instead of just about her.
But that is a great point, which is if you see like a gap, either physically or in time that's making you distressed, like there's the empty seat at the table, or there's like the hole in the sundae. part of it is to very intentionally say like, well, let me change things around. Like I remember one family was saying like brunch was always a really, really big deal in their family and it just didn't feel the same. And so they started going on a morning hike. So they just replaced it with something different. So it didn't feel like a whole, it felt like there was just like a whole new routine, or like a family that instead of sitting in the dining room or instead of sitting in the kitchen, they started sitting in the dining room, and they just like so that their seating was completely reconfigured. It didn't feel like anybody was missing because it was new. And so maybe you want to say like, okay, well now let me rethink Sundays. Let me put myself in the middle of it somehow. Like what's something that would be fun? And so I feel like my time is occupied in a way that feels right to me, but it doesn't feel like, oh, I keep thinking, oh, this is when we would have done this and this is when we would have done that, because you're like doing something completely different. You just shake it up.
Yeah.
Because if we hold open those spaces, then you always see the gap.
More on this after these words.
Elizabeth, you know I love this time of year, but one thing I do not love is how short the days are. I feel like I'm always trying to cram so many things into a limited number of daylight hours. But one thing that's helping me really stay on top of my routine during this busy time is the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus. Powered by Peloton IQ, the Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus is Peloton's most elevated equipment yet. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and achieve peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, sculpt, push, and go, while Peloton handles the rest.
Peloton IQ creates a personal workout roadmap with weekly recommended classes led by instructors who match your mood, vibe, and personality. Go on a 45-minute run on the Tread Plus or do a 5-minute stretch routine off of it with just one smooth spin of the swivel screen. It offers endless ways to train for a well-rounded routine no matter how busy you are. This is cross-training reimagined. Let yourself run, lift, sculpt, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com. As the air turns crisp and the holidays draw near, comfort becomes the best gift of all. Quince delivers layers that last, sweaters, outerwear, and everyday essentials that feel luxurious, look timeless, and make holiday dressing and gifting effortless. Gretch, you know how much I love Quince. Their cashmere sweaters are in my rotation a few times a week in the winter. And my latest Quince purchase is something I'm going to be wearing all winter. It's a featherless quilted long puffer jacket in silken white. You know, off-white is my new signature color, so I needed a white jacket. I love it.
Step into the holiday season with layers made to feel good, look polished, and last from Quince. Perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. Go to quince.com/Gretchen for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Gretchen to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Gretchen.
There is one thing that all people on Earth have in common. We move through the world in a human body. Bodies ache, they bleed, they desire, they hold the stories of our lives.
International Planned Parenthood Federation, or IPPF, is sharing some of those stories from around the world. Read them now at ippf.org/everybody.
It's time for Black Friday, Dell Technologies' biggest sale of the year. That's right, you'll find huge savings on select Dell PCs like the Dell 16 Plus with Intel Core Ultra processors. And with built-in advanced AI features, it's the PC that helps you do more faster. From smarter multitasking to extended battery life, these PCs get the busy work done so you can focus on what matters most to you.
Plus, earn Dell rewards and enjoy many other benefits like free shipping, expert support, price match guarantee, and flexible financing options. They also have the biggest deals on accessories that pair perfectly with your Dell PC, improving the way you work, play, and connect. Whether you just started holiday shopping or you're finishing up, these PCs and accessories make perfect gifts for everyone on your list. Shop now at Dell.com/deals and don't miss out. That's Dell.com/deals.
Okay, how are you feeling, Penn?
Good. Good. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Was it dual ambivalence? Is that the term?
Splitting ambivalence.
Splitting ambivalence. I need to work on that. I think like there are, and then I'm glad you clarified it. Like there was kind of a situation where like, you know, if we really were both on the same side, like no one gets food.
Right.
No, like,
right.
And so I just like, I'm learning so much. I'm like, I know I'm sad.
Yeah.
I just, I don't think it's going to manifest itself the same way, but
it's okay.
But I think that's all right.
That's okay.
And I think fathers sometimes, because men don't talk about it as much, is like women are often like, they have a whole bunch of friends who are going to get together and start a group, or like people are talking about it. Or like for me, like the day of our drop off, like friends texted me like, hey, big day, like how'd it go? You know, just kind of like reaching out, acknowledging that it was a big milestone. Whereas I don't think that fathers and men typically do that. And so they sometimes, I think, feel, and then maybe they, you know, they're managing somebody else's emotions. And so I think sometimes it can be harder for them because they don't have as much opportunity to get support or like to sort of be visibly grappling with it the way there is a lot of talk about it among women. And I think some men do, but a lot of men, not so much.
And I need to think about that with my male relationships.
I do think there is a space for men, I think, to have these conversations in your male friendships. And I think they would welcome it.
Yeah.
I think they would, and they just need somebody to lead that conversation.
But, or maybe they don't need to talk about it. Maybe they just need to hang out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They just need to like do something together.
Yeah.
To feel connected.
Well,
I've
got a boys trip with some empty nesters coming up in a couple of weeks. So
you do?
Not empty nesters, but like first drop-offs.
Oh, first drop-offs.
Yeah,
Got it.
First drop-offs.
We're calling those first drop-offs.
Okay, Gretchen, I could talk to you all day. And I do treat this podcast as a personal therapy session. So
love it.
This is great. Okay, so what do you have in the works? What exciting new projects are you working on, and how can we help support you?
Oh, well, I am going to write a book about the empty nest. So this has been absolutely fascinating to me. I've been taking notes all the way through to like what you're going through, and what you made so many interesting observations. Yeah, so I'm working on that. I just had a book called Secrets of Adulthood that came out, which is all just kind of like one line Secrets of Adulthood, which I basically did. I started doing it for my daughters. It's like all the lessons that I learned with time and experience, you know, the hard way that I wanted to give to them. But then I'm like, I need these just as much as they do. I don't know about you, but I keep learning the same lessons over and over.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, working is one of the most dangerous forms of procrastination. I mean, or something that can happen at any time often happens at no time. I think about that constantly. So that was my most recent project. And then I have a podcast, Happier with Gretchen Rubin, and I have a newsletter, 5 Things Making Me Happy, which is a super fun newsletter that I get to do every week. So, and I'm on social media and all the places. I love to hear insights and observations and resources. I feel like the world is my research assistant. So if anybody has any thoughts, observations, books to read about the empty nest, send them my way.
We need to find some sort of AI where we can just put her in our pocket and pull her out.
A Gretchen Rubin AI bot.
Yeah.
An AI bot. Gretchen,
or you can just call me. Just call me. I love talking about
so
this stuff.
Easier.
This is great.
Thank you so much for doing this. This has been so helpful for me, and I hope it's helpful for people listening, no matter the stage. I mean, it's very dramatic dropping a kid off to kindergarten. It's there's so many different.
No. We say goodbye to our children many times, and I just did my second drop off, and I was like, how is it going to be the second time? It's like it happens over and over and over in our life as parents.
It gets better? ? Easier? No,
it does. Okay. It does. It gets normal faster. Time is a big thing with this. I think it's like anything. It's like, give it time. You guys are still in the very first throws.
Yeah.
Give it time.
You're so great.
It's always a sign of a good podcast when Kim ends it with.
Oh, good. I like that.
She just did that. So that means it was a good one. You can always tell.
There's just a lot to think about.
Yep.
There's a lot to think about. So thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you and to get to talk to you in person. So after hearing your voice in my ears in the podcast for so many years. So thank you.
Ditto. Listening back to that conversation, I'm reminded how many parents are in this stage, especially now with kids home for the holidays. It's a good time to notice what is working and what is not working, and maybe make a few adjustments before everyone heads back. If you're in this stage too, or getting ready for it, I would love to hear what's been working for you. The world is my research assistant. Please tell me your insights, observations, resources, questions. Send your thoughts and responses to podcast@GretchenRubin.com. Until next time, remember, the best time to start a happiness project is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. From the Onward Project.
Hi, Gretchen, Craig Robinson, and my little sister Michelle here. We host a new podcast called IMO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson. We know you're the queen of giving advice, so we wanted to get a few tips from you.
You know, Gretchen, a lot of our listeners are going through some major life changes. What advice do you have for folks who are trying to stay grounded in the midst of major life transitions?
Craig and Michelle, I am so happy to be talking to you. Here are a few questions that might help us gain perspective. So consider questions like this. What activities take up my time but are not particularly useful or stimulating for me? Do I spend a lot of time on something that's important to someone else, but is not very important to me? If I could magically change one habit in my life, what would I choose? And here's a question. Would I like to have more time in solitude, restorative solitude, or would I like to have more time with friends? You know, just thinking about questions like this can help us start to figure out how we might make our lives happier. With greater self-knowledge, we're better able to make hard decisions that reflect ourselves, our own nature, our own interests, our own values. In my own case, I have found that the more my life reflects my nature, the happier I get, and the more grounded I feel when I'm going through a period of major change or transition. For more great advice, search for IMO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson wherever you get podcasts. You can listen to Issa Rae on letting go of certain friendships, Kiki Palmer on why disappointment is actually the key to career success, Seth and Lauren Rogan on caring for aging parents, and so many more.